Morning, everyone. It is, I'll start the meeting off by just informing everyone that we are having some connectivity problems. And so we're going to try and do our meeting as normal. However, if we do run into problems, staff are recommending we just continue on. And they will be keeping record of all the minutes, the meeting minutes. And if there's anything there that you would like to know, we'll be able to get you that either on printed or on a different meeting or whatever. So I'll call a meeting of our council to order. It is now 9:42 a.m. And I will confirm both our municipal clerk and all members of council are sitting here present. Our land acknowledgement, we respectively acknowledge the township of Allen McCullough is located on the Mississauga-Neshanembec territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga-Neshanembec. The township of Allen McCullough respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain the responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. Moving on to the agenda, I have a motion that the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting held on November 18th be approved. I get a mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof. Seeing none, that will be duly noted. Delegations and presentations, and we're pleased to have this morning with us the Inspector and Detachment Commander of Northumberland OPP, Mike Cavanaugh, and his right-hand man, or one of his right-hand men, Paul McDonald. And if you guys would like to come up to the table and get us started, then that'd be great. Thank you very much for coming, both of you.
Thanks for that.
I like your cutie, somebody remembers.
Okay, we know CPR.
Well, that's good.
Right, thanks for having us. Our purpose today is to do an actual formal introduction of myself and Staff Sergeant McDonald and about going forward with the 2026-2029 action plan. So myself, a brief introduction. I began my policing career 20 years ago in a very small community, the township of Sterling Rod, and was hired by Chief Frank Malwar. He was a great man, full of integrity, and he had really strong commitment to the community and sort of instilled those values inside of me. So I worked for Frank for a while, and then eventually moved on to the Ontario Provincial Police, where I was started at the City of Forth Lakes Detachment, working on the road, which I loved, in the crime unit, the Community Drug Action Team. Eventually took a position in the Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau, where I investigated large drug projects, generally based out of the GTA. A lot of importation investigations, cross-border organized crime groups. In 2014, I was seconded to the Integrated National Security Enforcement Team, and I was part of a surveillance unit that looked after and monitored national security targets throughout the province of Ontario. All that said, I enjoyed that experience and working covertly in those units. However, I missed the interaction with community and frontline members. Returned to policing, frontline policing in 2016, where I was promoted to the Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment Sergeant, and then eventually made my way back to Central Region, worked in Halliburton and Peterborough County, and fortunately enough, was able to come here to work at Northumberland County as the detachment commander, and that was officially in place on June 26th this year. I was also happy to bring along Staff Sergeant Paul McDonald. Paul is a very people-centered leader focused on the well-being of the members and really engage with the community. Paul's worked all across the province as well, Coney West Attachment, Caledonia,
Yeah.
Halliburton, Peterborough,
Down here,
and now Northumberland. So
byproduct of the OPP.
we travel.
Yeah. I was promoted June 14th, just before.
You got promoted ahead of me.
Yeah, I got promoted to heaven.
So, and we're both happy to be here in Northumberland County. It's, we both have ties to the area, so it's actually, beneficial.
Yeah.
Now, the command has changed quite a lot. So myself and Paul are new. Mike Davidson, staff sergeant, he's based out of Campbellford, and we have 3 locations in Northumberland County. You're probably aware: Campbellford, Brighton, and Cobourg, our administrative center. My office is in Brighton. Paul is in Cobourg for the most part, and Mike is in Campbellford, and we sort of look after operations in all 3 locations. There's those pros and cons to having 3 sites. The pro is that we have officers distributed across the county evenly at the beginning and end of shifts and throughout the entire day. Con is managing 3 locations and having resources and vehicles and equipment at 3 different spots and trying to organize all of that. We do it well. It seems to be working. We have 85 uniformed members at the Northumberland Detachment and 15 civilians. The units that we have embedded in the detachment itself are our crime unit, community street crime unit, bail support team, community engagement officer. We have our court office,
CSU,
community street crime unit,
Denmark.
mental health, mental health engagement and response team. I'm so used to the acronym MCERT, which is used in other detachments, but Northumberland's unique in that we have an MHART. We are also, other supports that we have from region and GHQ include our critical incident command. We have divers. We have our tactics and response team, K9 emergency response at our detachment, along with our regional counterparts to assist us. And anything you can think of, like technical support, we have a healthy workplace team helping our members. Of the larger investigations that I'm a part of, the intelligence gathering equipment, the technology that the OPP has to conduct large scale investigations is immense, and it continually evolves. And we're really well positioned provincially to do our own work, but assist other municipalities as well. So looking ahead, we are in the process of the action plan, the 2026-2029. What's interesting is that the action plan is based around the strategic plan of the OPP. And up until 2024, April, when the CSPA came in, the commissioner of the OPP was responsible for coordinating and building the strategic plan. And then we build our action plan from that. What changed with the CSPA is now the strategic plan of the OPP is now the responsibility of the Solicitor General. And the Solicitor General makes the strategic plan for the OPP. And then we build our own action plans from that. Our commitments in the action plan are crime, roadways, waterways and trails, and community well-being. So we're looking at increasing our investigative capacity as well as monitoring, being responsive to crime trends. Keeping roadway safety is paramount. And locally, because of the advocacy of the board, they brought to my attention that we want to reduce and understand the impact of the 401 and how that impacts each of the municipalities, and especially with the EDRs and the impact on services that we have on our ancillary roadways when the highway gets shut down. And we're trying to work to make it easier and lessen the burden on the municipalities. Our community well-being, we're investing in our MHART program so that we're responsive to people with mental health and those that are in crisis, as well as those experiencing addiction issues and homelessness. And we also are looking for opportunities to engage with youth in the community, whether that's on a local level or having an introduction to different groups that would benefit from having us be a part of what they're looking for with the youth, we're open to those discussions as well. So that's kind of who we are, and I'm happy to answer any questions or talk about the action planning process.
Thank you, John. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mary Ogle. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. It's always learned more and more of what you were doing. And I think one of the biggest concerns we have are the, when the 401 is jammed up. And I don't know how we can keep, vehicles off unassumed roads. I really don't know how we can do that. And how we can keep people going where they're supposed to go because they're like ants. And the GPS, that's always a problem. And I live right on Highway 2, and I know that some days I'm not gonna get out of my driveway if that happens, and, well, that's just a comment. Are you doing specific, vehicle checks on the 401, like are you doing, blitzes? And I mean, one of the things that is a big concern for me is the transports. Do you do regular blitzes where you're just pulling them off just to check to make sure that, the vehicle is safe and, the drivers are?
Great question. That is a priority of the organization because we've seen through our data analysis across the province that commercial motor vehicle accidents are on the rise. So what we've done locally is we've increased our complement of officers who are trained in commercial motor vehicle enforcement, and they're bringing that training back to their shifts and educating the members. In addition to that, we have established CMV enforcement days once per month for the entire year. And what we're doing is we're combining resources with other municipalities like Port Hope and working with stakeholders such as the MTO and their inspectors on those particular days to assist us in those enforcement efforts. That being said, one day is really never enough, but once we start attacking, sorry, I shouldn't use the word attack, but going after the repeat offenders and those with severe equipment violations, that will start beginning to turn the industry around, and hopefully they can, on their own, increase their own standards for safety.
Marilyn, we'll just one more,
Sure.
and it's follow up to that. Is the province giving you more funding to be, looking at, the commercial vehicle to do more blitzes?
The short
That's
answer
a
is
question, no.
we certainly enjoy the provincial government right now. They have increased the complement of police officers in the province. Directly related to commercial vehicle enforcement, I would say no. They have invested in training, like the commercial motor vehicle training has expanded for the OPP. What we as a part of the board, working for the board, we've discussed how the 401 impacts Northumberland County, because it's unique to any of the other detachments in Central Region in that we're the only detachment that the 401 runs through. We have 73 kilometers of it. And what happens is that there's thousands of people that travel on the 401 every day, and each of those persons has a cell phone, and they're calling for, distracted driving, possible repairs, debris on the roadway. So when that occurs, then our resources that are in the communities are being pulled down with 401. I think it's important that the province understands that this is an increased burden on these municipalities who are paying for the police services. So we're hoping that we can work toward advocating for more resources. As a temporary measure, we're able to have a member from Peterborough come over, and we're going to put him on the 401. He's a CMV, a motor vehicle inspector, with
we do have central region and east region time members coming to help with
Yeah.
enforcement on it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we are advocating for our detachment, to use other resources within the region to assist with the 401.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo.
I never thought of it the way you just put it, but Northumberland's unique in that. And I guess it's because I look further, west and you get Clarington and Durham, they're all the Burns rather than the OPP, and it continues all the way to, not to the west. And then on the east, you've got Trenton and Belleville, and I don't know where it goes on beyond there, but that is a big change for everybody else. And that's what happens, you gotta send people to the 401, and, we suffer. Not suffer, but it puts a burden on you people, and we don't get the service,
Yeah,
although we're paying for it, I think.
hands.
Go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So I'm on the 401 a couple of times. I travel quite frequently. Tractor trailers doing 120 kilometers an hour. What's you call that in? And, what's the process with that? They're still at 105, right?
For governing,
It's a good question.
if they have a governor on there,
If they have a governor on there, the maximum speed limit on the 401 is posted, it's either 100 or 110 kilometers an hour. That's as fast as they should be going. That's the maximum. It says right on the bottom of the sign, maximum. So that's the way it should be enforced.
So I've seen some tractor trailers, in the hammer lane doing at least $120 passing me, multiple times. So I just wonder, and it's with the new era of truck drivers. And, I've never ever seen them pulled over. I followed them lots after I called them in, but never ever seen them pulled over. So hopefully that happens. And again, is there any kind of talk or even thought? Because let's say out west in Alberta, they're trying to make tractor trailer driver license like a carpenter ticket or a plumbing ticket. You'd have to go do a course and, apprenticeship kind of deal. And then they would get the proper training, they would get the proper, be able to speak our language, be able to read our signs, know what they all mean. I don't know if something like that could be done in Ontario.
not under our purview.
You know, that would take a political ambition to get that through and change the regulations within the Highway Traffic Act. I don't think it's a bad idea to make it a professional certificate to have these drivers. They're driving large vehicles, sometimes in dangerous conditions, and it's a lot of responsibility. I don't think it's any different than some of the other, like a crane operator, for instance. They take on a lot of responsibility when they agree to take over controls of that machine. So I would certainly be in support of that. You know, my father was a truck driver for 40 years and he called himself a professional driver. And he maintained that it was his obligation to make sure that he comes home safe at night, but that everyone who was around him in a different vehicle was also safe through his operation of a motor vehicle. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Mary Coffey.
I appreciate you being here and learning quite a bit. Also related on the road safety, just a comment that we hear often, and it's the road safety with tractors and farm equipment and some of that. So I hope you're working with that group. But I want to pick up on another thing you were talking about in terms of the community supports and interventions. And I know intervention for pounded here and that social service agencies have been working to get one database so that people can be identified before they're living on the streets or in the crisis of some. Are you involved in feeding in information to that system?
So we don't keep that with the OPP. So in 2019, we went to a company called Medic Alert. They hold all our vulnerable sector people's information if they phone in and register with that company. We found with close to 300 attachments, it was too much for the OPP to handle internally for each detachment, because they could change daily, right? So we don't control any of the sensitive information going to like CAS or anything like that if they're going to keep a record of vulnerable people in the community, especially for homeless and all that other stuff. They come to us, we can keep it in our own database to look up for if we're responding to a call. But if they want it on file for family and all emergency services, they have to look to an outside agency to take care of all that stuff.
I will note that, I can think of a few neighbors here, you came, not you two, but people from the OPP did a presentation here on supporting vulnerable family members, and they registered and they felt much better, and the result was better for their family members, so that's very good. I will make note that you have it separate than what the social services agencies are.
Yeah, since 2019, it's actually been very beneficial for the OPP as a whole, not having to look after that information, and then creations of the mobile crisis response teams and all stuff in partnership with the hospitals and nurses. They all keep their own database because it's all protected health information, right? So we don't want to keep all that. We want their information to be in the right hands. We're just helping to bring nurses and that to those vulnerable calls for service.
You follow your comment?
I'm not sure if I'm this, later in our agenda package, we have all kinds of stats. We actually have a question about one of the stats, if that's okay.
Sure.
These are
the ones that you provided.
Terrific.
It's just, I'm looking here in September for, and the number that jumped out at me was 22 assaults and firearm related offenses. So that seems personally high, and and higher certainly than the other ones in there. So any comment on that?
So the assaults and firearm related offenses is a category. It's called it's measured by UCR. It's called the Universal Crime Reporting. So when we add incidents to our records management system, we have to assign. It's called the UCR, Universal Crime Reporting, and that's data that can be extracted by Statistics Canada. So assaults and firearm related offenses. So that could be a simple assault to like a slap in the face, or somebody who is storing a gun carelessly. They're within the same UCR category. When we do the reports monthly and report to the board, we always review the occurrences, especially the violent crime occurrences, to determine if there's anything serial in nature, if there's something that's not being reported accurately. What I will say from that statistic, a lot of those assaults are intimate partner violence. Allegations of assaults and threats in actual physical assaults involving members within.
Thank you. Good.
And through your worship. Thank you, Mike and Paul, for your presentation on the action plan. Since you're here and we're asking questions to the OPP, you probably discussed this with the mayor, I know, but could you tell me, where does the OPP do their firearm training? Do you guys go up to Elmer and do that, or is there somewhere local that OPP do their firearm training? Because we've had issues with local police in one of our locations doing it and people complaining.
So we do our annual requalification. This detachment goes to Napanee, and we use the range at Millhaven Institution. Other detachments within Central Region go to the Utah range, which is directly beside a gigantic gravel pit in Utah, just north of Orillia. And we have a number of ranges that are used there for the firearms training. What you're speaking about specifically, I actually went and advocated for that police service with Warkworth Institution, had a meeting with the warden, and asked if they would consider allowing Port Hope to come and use their range at the institution on County Road 29. He agreed that he would be open to it, provided that information to Port Hope Police, and said that he's open for discussion about utilizing the range.
Okay, thank you. And just through your worship still, so the Napanee in the Utah, is that run by the OPP, or is that private range, or is it?
So the range in Millhaven is actually at the institution in Bath, Ontario. And the Utah range is a range that was built by the OPP. We do our recruit training there, we do our requalification, our emergency response teams, tactics and rescue unit do their specialty shooting on those ranges as well.
Okay, thank you. Very informative.
Anything else, Rick?
No, that's it. Thank you.
I got a two or three, little ones, I think. You mentioned the CSBA and the Solicitor General setting up the strategic plans now for the OPP. Does he do that for other municipal, as well?
No. So, and I asked this question, so I was taking a university course and part of it was the CSBA. And this information was during one of the assignments, I discovered this information. And at the same time, we had a town hall meeting in Peterborough with the commissioner. And I asked him point blank, I said, you know, with the change in the CSPA, you're not doing the strategic plan anymore. And it's up to the Solicitor General to give you the strategic plan for the OPP. I said, how is it that we're able to ensure that the strategic plan is not going to be heavily influenced politically to, you know, look at an agenda compared to what had been done previously as a document that is solely for the police service and sort of independent of what the government's doing. And I think I was supposed to give him that question in advance so he could prepare for an answer. But
I'm sorry, I should have done that for you.
yeah, that's okay. So he was really good about it. They have a great relationship with the Solicitor General, Mike Kersner. He said that the strategic plan can't really differ that much outside of what's already existing, and that the consultation has to go through the Commissioner's Command Team and with the Solicitor General's office to create a plan that's relevant to what's happening in our communities, and that is achievable as well. So if there was significant influence or interference by the government, I totally trust our command team that they would push back on that and try to deliver what's important for Ontarians.
Thank you. My second one is kind of a follow-up to the meeting that we had. And police and firefighters and all those. I know you're aware that about 6 months ago, we had an incident on the 401 where one of our fire trucks was damaged. Then we had another one in Clarington about a month ago. And yesterday, or on the weekend, there was 3 firefighters fairly seriously injured. And these are all, and that was an Uxbridge, I believe it was. And it's all to do with, going with the 401 and not being properly blocked. And we're just it's gonna hurt someone seriously sooner or later. I'm just wondering if you can help us or how we go about that, getting some changes there.
Absolutely. Staff Sergeant Mike Davidson was in Kingston on Wednesday last week, Thursday last week, and it was a meeting about winter operations and the MTO. It had brought together the MTO and other police services around the area, especially ones that are affected by the 401. He advocated for increased response for blocker trucks on the 401, and the contract for those companies that are supplying that do a better job at protecting the people that are servicing the 401. That message got through, and I don't believe that he was the only one pushing that agenda. It's occurring across the province on the 401 itself. I believe that last year was atypical, and that the response for the companies that maintain and service the highways, the provincial highways, weren't doing that great of a job because there were significant pressures, not only on the 401, but the 400, 115,
All the ancillary highways.
35 was impacted. Highway 11, I was incident commander for the shutdown in Muskoka when we had that snow event. If there's an organization that I don't like working with, it's the MTO. So I drove up in a Dodge Charger to Bracebridge to take incident command of that. So I drove it took me 3 hours to get there from Peterborough on the Saturday. And when I got there, I was told I had to go on this Zoom call, and there was like 14 other people from the MTO, and they're all at home, sitting in their recliners, barking at me for shutting down Highway 11 and people. So I just left the meeting. It wasn't serving any purpose, and I shouldn't talk badly about the MTO if they watch it. But it was one of the most frustrating experiences I've had in policing. They were of little help, and they didn't understand the significance and the impact of what was occurring. Like, our chief of the region left his house to come up to give us a hand and get resources to us, and he got stopped on Mashego because he couldn't go forward on the highway itself. It was a bit of a mess, and the rules that they have about where they turn around and how many plows can be at one time, and they wouldn't pull from other areas, which is an internal problem that they have in the MTO. So
Contract issues.
it's contract issue, yeah, but I believe that this meeting was partly a presentation on how they're improving their service to the communities in these roadways.
And my final thought is, and then maybe there's another one there after that too, but my final thought goes to what I believe is the most challenging for our township, residents of our township, and it's the speeders that constantly go way over the speed limit, and we get reports on them all the time. And I know, Paul, you've been assisting some with specific roads, and we appreciate that, but we somehow or other gotta get people to slow down.
Yeah. Well, the automated speed enforcement cameras, I know it was a touchy issue, but it was slowing people down in these zones, in these community safety zones. And, yeah, there was a monetary penalty attached to that, but that's the only way you're gonna slow people down, is to hit them in the pocketbooks. And, I think it may have been a mistake to pull those too soon. They could have explored other avenues as far as, setting limits or penalties imposed on that, but we're not afraid of those cameras taking away our work, because it's always going to be there, and we will never have enough police officers on the road to stop speeders, and that's a frustrating part. People have to become engaged and understand the impact of their behavior driving in these communities.
And it is important when people report to them.
Yeah, we love reporting, because that data is critical, and it sort of guides our operations on how we deploy our officers into these different zones.
And changing the speed limit, does that help?
If that's something you wanna do, it has to come through council, right?
Yeah, I know, but your experience, does that,
Speeding's one of the, I think, I don't wanna say the number one social norm law to break. Everybody speeds, whether it's 1 over or 50 over, right? Everybody does it. So we gotta catch people doing it, right? So gotta be in the right spots at the right time. So your traffic complaints that you send through me through email for like the hot spots, the black hat data, all that stuff will lead to us doing targeted enforcement, right? So directed patrols, we just had our sergeant, Ali Scott, direct one for us in and around the Brighton area this morning. So it's something that we have to get better at as well, right? So the more information we have, the more areas we can target.
and if AH gives you information from staff like Public Works and that type of stuff?
We have had emails from Public Works and all
Okay,
that stuff for that, and then, the school boards, call too, like bus drivers and that, for the people running, the stop signs on buses and all that stuff, so we're starting, like, once we get all that information in, we send the officers out to look after that stuff. It's whether we catch them or not, right? Because the speeding, you have to catch the person doing it. We just can't go, we thought you were doing 120, here's your ticket. We have to have the
Nice.
incidents. Would be nice. It's a little bit of abuse of power.
And I just want to mention I think the changes that you installed, like with the splitting of the responsibilities a little bit for where Paul is kind of in charge of the day-to-day stuff, I think, and Mike.
Yep.
Another Mike is responsible for training and the social stuff, I guess, more like that. And I think it's great to be able to go to, not have to tie you up all the time, but to go to those two gentlemen to get the proper assistance, because it seems to happen quick.
My job is to make his easier,
Well, that's sure.
Oh, that was smooth.
Just one more quick question to you, Mayor. As a whole, are we winning on drug enforcement? Especially in our areas?
right? We've had some big wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we, interested, that's a great segue. I've invited our detective sergeant in charge of the community street crime unit to come and do a brief introduction presentation at the next detective board meeting on Friday. His name is Troy Beavis, and he is a wealth of knowledge, and he's really reinvigorated the unit. I am aware of a number of investigations that are going on currently. I wish I could share details because they're kind of cool. They're doing some good work. And the difficult part about these investigations, they're covert. So the investigators out there investigating, the bad guy can't know that we're there. So there's a number of techniques that are using, and it takes a bit of time because we have to use these techniques and then we have to get judicial authorizations to do different things. I'll give you an example. When I was in the drug unit, oftentimes we would identify certain drug dealers and then we would link them back to different areas where they're storing drugs, whether it be in storage areas or in their personal residence. And then you would have to write warrants to get authorization to, break into their homes covertly, find what's going on, find the drugs in the house, take pictures of it, sample it, and then, come back with another warrant to go in and seize it. So we're doing things like that. It takes time. But they're doing a very good job. And
Want to clarify sampling?
sampling, so say we get authorization to go into a house because we believe that the drugs in there, and then we go and we find a bag with substance in it. So we'll open up the bag, take a sample of it, close the bag up to the best that we can to make them that it wasn't touched. We take that sample, we drive it to Health Canada. They would test and say yes, that's fentanyl. Then we add that to a warrant. Say, Judge, we use authorization to go into the house because we knew it was there. We sampled the drug. Health Canada said this is fentanyl. We need authorization to go back and make the arrest and seize the drug. So it's a process. That's a simplification of sort of the things that are being done. Other things are, investigative techniques like through technology, monitoring phones, chat groups, getting into computers, that sort of thing happens. We can't really share many of those details because they're protected, but everything is tracked, everyone is tracked, and I should say that it can be tracked. There's the ability to track people through technology, and we're using those tools here locally. So
It's always evolving, right? So once we learn how to do something, they change, then we have to relearn how to do something to catch it. So it's always a tiered approach, right?
And if I can, I have one little thing that's kind of following up with what Councilor O'Neill was talking about. What's the difference between a criminal code and a highway traffic act?
So criminal code is a federal legislation where the code is, it said that these acts, if you commit them, it's a criminal act. So the penalties are going to be more severe, and there'd be a record of federal criminal record. The Safe Street Act, Cannabis Act, Smoke-Free Ontario Act are not criminal offenses, but they're penalties that that we don't want behaviors that we don't want people to take part in, and there has to be some sort of penalty involved. Usually it's a fine and a ticket to deter that sort of behavior because it makes the running of society and living in communities that much better. That makes sense?
Yeah, so if someone's speeding and doing 100 or 60 kilometers over the speed limit, 80 kilometers, which is quite a bit over. Is that a criminal one, and versus one that's doing 25 as a what's penalty? Copycat?
Yes and no.
You're a politician, you.
Yes, so yes and no. It's stunt driving. Is it arrestable under the Highway Traffic Act? It is. But it's a monetary fine and a seizure of the vehicle for a certain amount of time. To make it a criminal code offense, there has to be some element that causes danger to the people that are there or could be there at the time. So it has to be exigent circumstances where we believe that there could be loss of life to create it become dangerous instead of speed driving. Then it can become criminal, right? So.
Yeah, somebody drives a car into a schoolyard or recess and starts stealing donuts. That's criminal. That's dangerous driving because there's people there. You're putting their lives in danger.
So everything comes into play, time, like everything to make it criminal code offense, right? There's usually minimum jail times, not fines for criminal. It's usually like sentencing and probations and all that stuff for criminal code. And then under the Highway Traffic Act and provincial fines is your monetary fine.
You can get jailed too.
You can, in some of them, yeah.
In some cases, like suspended drivers, prohibited drivers, no insurance. Eventually, you're gonna go to jail. If you don't pay your fine.
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate on behalf of council that you're being here today. I think you've answered a lot of questions. I'm hoping we're all the way. Detachment here in Northumberland, and we continue to encourage you to do job you're doing.
We think,
And make people happy, and showing up with the different things too, which is very important.
yeah, community engagement's big on this command team, and we really want to get in and be a part of the community and encourage our officers to do the same.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mary,
Yes.
I just had a thought and, I'll ask for some guidance from Madam Clerk. For those of us that are going to Roma, I was wondering, the process and the probability of us. I looked up the Minister for Transportation, which is,
Sakara.
yes, would it be worthwhile for us trying to get a meeting with him to give him our concerns?
I believe the last meeting with the fire department and Minister Piccini was at the meeting. There was a consensus that there would be a delegation to Roma to look at expanding the number of lanes on the 401 to ease the burden on the EDRs within Northumberland County. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I think the county was going to take the lead on it.
Yeah.
And would they also, some of the problems that we're experiencing here, could that be incorporated into that meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So if the county's gonna do it, I know it's hard to get in to see these guys, so, that's the best route to go.
I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'd like to thank Emily for setting this up for me too, so I appreciate that.
Have a good day.
Okay, the resolution reads that the committee of the whole received the presentation from Northumberland OPP Detachment Commander and Vice Commander. Is that right? Regarding Northumberland OPP action plans and information. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Booth, second by Councilor O'Neill. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. We're gonna move on to reports, and we have two reports that we're looking at today. One, actually both from the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority, one from September 18th and one from October 16th, 2025. And then there are other ones as well, which is a Parks and Rec Culture Advisory Committee meeting minutes from November 10th. The Northumberland Police Service Board minutes from September 12th. And the Northumberland Police Service Board report September 2025. Can I get a mover and seconder for those? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Does anybody want to have any comments on any of those? Vote Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes. The September 18th and the October 16th, minutes are not signed by the chair or the CAO. I know that issue was brought up at a COW meeting on October 21st about the library minutes not being signed. Are these supposed to be signed too, or could we get clarification on that?
I can answer that.
Yep.
So I happened to notice that as well, Councillor Booth, when I was at that meeting. And those minutes came forward to the board that day. And I was told that they are signed when they are filed. So if they need to be filed here in front of and put forward for minutes, that's certainly a direction I can take back to the board. I'll leave that with you, Mayor Lobo. Thank you.
Thank you. We've done a little bit of investigation, and these are boards that we have really no control over. So basically, they don't have to sign them. We're finding out that with the library board as well.
That's very good information. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, the Parks meeting one, or are we just dealing with?
No.
The Parks meeting one, I'm just looking at this and maybe we could have some clarification. I'm looking at members present and members absent. And I'm seeing a bunch of names that are not on there. Lori Maitland, Suzanne Elston, Marcia Jones. Are these people still members of this committee? Are they not members of the committee?
Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor, I believe they.
Through Mayor Logo, this would be conversations with identifiable individuals, so this would be a closed session conversation. At that point, we can have a closed session conversation at a later time at the next meeting in December.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, so just clarification, you're saying they're resigned. Okay, thank you.
Your comment?
Also with the members in that committee, so Michelle Morrison has not attended any of the meetings, and doing off, it's been 5 in a row. So, what's our
I
protocol?
think we'll ask the staff to investigate and make sure that the people that are there are supposed to. We shouldn't be discussing any particular news. Anything else? Bruce Butters, didn't
Resigned.
no, it didn't say, it wasn't very
No,
clear.
his tenure was completed for 3 years. And I'm not sure, was that in the October or the September? I believe that was October, wasn't it? Let me just check the wording on that, because his tenure was complete. And that's a question that I will ask to see if there would be a placement coming up. Trying to think where that was.
On September 18th.
Oh, it's a September meeting?
Yes. September 18th.
I was trying to get the wording.
It's just unclear.
Let me get the word in here. Okay. Well, how it reads in the correspondence, the board of directors discuss the conclusion of the term for the agricultural sector representative. The board expresses gratitude and appreciation to Bruce Butters for his contributions and dedicated service in this role over the past 3 years. So I will ask at our meeting next week if there will be someone else filling in now. Thank you.
All in favor? All in favor? That's carried. We're gonna move on to 12:1. And we have, two reports, 12:2 and 12:3.
It's three.
1, 6, 8. Okay.